Hello everybody, welcome again. My name is Larissa Lopes and you're watching Things I Wish I'd Learned in School. Today's episode it's special because I'm gonna expose and give you all the secrets that adults don't like you to know, would never tell you to your face, but that I think is important for you to know, and that's why I'm making this video. So first I want to say that all these things I'm gonna tell you today are things that I observed and that I experienced in the adult world. For those who do not know, I'm 30 years old. My birthday is coming soon, so I'll be 31. And I've been living on my own since 2013, so 6 years now, and I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in this period, and I've also invested a lot in personal development. I've learned a lot. I read a lot about personal development, and I realized that maturity is optional. Aging is not. Everybody's gonna get old, but maturity, it is something optional, and it doesn't have anything to do with age. And that's why I want to make this video, and I want to tell you all these secrets, and because I do believe we should raise a next generation of adults that is better than this one. I think we haven't been doing a very good job with managing the world and I have so much hope for this future generation, and I want to contribute with that. And that's why I'm exposing all the secrets today, and I hope you will have a different perspective of the adult life by the end of this video. So what is the first secret that I want to share with you? Ready? Okay. Adults have no idea what they are doing either. I know it must be kind of shocking if you are a child or a teenager, but this feeling of not knowing what you're doing is never gonna leave you. Like, you're gonna feel like this for the rest of your life. It's not because you become an adult that it goes away. It's the opposite, actually, because the more responsibilities you have, the more you realize you don't know. The more things there are in your life for you to manage that you have no idea how to do it. So it's kind of overwhelming, to be honest, but in the end we always manage to figure out how to do it. So whenever you see someone doing something like I received some requests for adulthood life and things like taxes and houses, insurances, and all this stuff, this grown-up stuff. And my answer to you is that we adults don't know how to do these things either. When we need it, when we have something that we have to do and that we don't know, we're going to ask other people who have already done it, or search on the internet like you would do. And I know it doesn't seem like the adults pretend that they know what they're doing all the time, but the truth is that they don't, and I think that's so wrong. I really think we should start telling kids the truth, because it's sending the wrong message, and plus it's exhausting for us to be in this position, to pretend that we know everything all the time. And I know this is part of the reason we are so stressed. This generation of adults is so stressed because they pretend they know what they're doing in their jobs, in their house. They wear these masks and they pretend to be what they were supposed to be, but nobody actually really knows what they're doing. And it's so sad because we all make mistakes, we all learn through mistakes, and we should be able to say it out loud. We should be able to admit to our kids, to the youngest, that that's how life works. If the youngest generations never see adults doing that, questioning themselves if that's the right decision, or considering different possibilities, changing their minds about things, making mistakes, they grow up with this feeling that they are not as smart as their parents, for example. And that's how we get this chronic imposter syndrome, you know. Brené Brown says that shame has two tapes: or you're not good enough, or who do you think you are? So basically, we spend our whole lives believing that we are not enough, like because we grew up in this environment where everybody seemed to know what they were doing, and us deep inside we know that we're lost. So we are afraid to tell them that we're lost because we don't want to be the only one, and the only one. And we are so afraid to be exposed that people see that we actually don't know what we are doing, that we have this chronicle feeling of not being enough, you know. And the worst part is that the more you develop yourself, the more you study, the more you know things, this feeling never goes away. It just changes, you know. When you are, for example, me as a teacher, when I was in front of a class and teaching people stuff or how I'm doing right now, what's in my head is like, who are you to be saying those things? Like, you're fraud, you know, you're imposter, you know that actually you don't know anything. You're there pretending to people that you know everything, you know. So I'm telling you right now, I am learning. And I think that's what all adults should say to kids, that we are constantly learning, we are constantly changing our minds and making mistakes. We don't know everything, we don't know most of the things, actually. Like, it's ridiculous to keep this facade, you know, to keep this mask and to lie to your own kids, you know. So if there's any parents watching this, I would love if you could teach your kids that it's okay not to know everything. You know, if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, tell them that you don't know the answer. As a teacher, you know, the same thing. Like, if someone asks you a question, you don't have to know everything. You're not Google. So don't pretend, you know, don't try to don't think that admitting that you don't know something, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna be less valuable because of that, or that people are gonna, I don't know, laugh at you, or judge you, or doubt of your ability to be, you know, raising that child or teaching that lesson or doing whatever you're doing. We need to be real with each other. We need to start being real and telling the truth. And the truth is that we don't know everything. We are constantly having doubts, and we are constantly listening to this little voice in our head, you know, saying that we are not good enough, we're never gonna be good enough, and we are all suffering with that. And I think the way to stop this is to being open about how little we know, and that we are learning, that we are all here learning all the time. It's not, I think it's so beautiful that when we are babies and when we are kids, everybody applauds that. Everybody recognizes the power of learning and how beautiful it is. And it's almost like after 18 years old, you're done, you know. You have no right to live like you used to live anymore. And that's so wrong. That's just not true. Next week's video, I'm gonna talk about stress and anxiety. And to be honest with you, I think all this crisis, this stress anxiety crisis, could be solved, or at least a part of it could be solved, just by adopting this growth culture and not the know-it-all culture. If parents decided to show their vulnerabilities and their doubts to their kids, for example, they will grow up with a lot more self-esteem, because they would feel like they are not the only ones that are lost and that don't know what they're doing, you know. And they wouldn't have the pressure of having to make choices that they are not sure and that they are not ready to make, for example, and we would take a lot of the pressure off youngest people's shoulder if we just if we were just open with them, if we just let them see us searching for the answer or questioning ourselves or being vulnerable and being real and not knowing what to do once in a while, because it's the truth. It does happens all the time, and I don't know why we don't show it to kids. We decided as a society that we would be super parents and that we wouldn't let them know that we are only humans, and that's what we are. We are all only humans. Another thing that I want to talk to you about today is that maturity is something optional, It's not because you're getting older that you're getting more mature. And I think this decision of being mature and becoming more mature comes from the decision of living this personal growth lifestyle, seeing everything as an opportunity to learn and not as if life was already static. We have this impression that adult life is something that doesn't change. It's after you turn 18, after you turn 20, things are just static and stop changing, and that's so not true. We are not only learning throughout our whole lives, but we are also changing, like deeply changing. The same way a little baby turns into a full-size human being, a 20-year-old adult will change, not only physically but also in every aspect of their lives forever, after until they die. And when we are teenagers, we have this feeling that when we get our driver's license and we can drink at bars, life is gonna be just this one whole thing. I think we keep in our minds this separation, like childhood, and then you become a teenager, and then you are an adult. But look at how many years we have in this adult section of your life. It doesn't work like that, and it can't be just one thing. Of course you're gonna keep changing for the rest of your life, and we have to start being flexible to change. Another mistake that adults make is to decide who they want to be when they in their early adulthood and never change. Think that just because they are not teenagers anymore, they are incapable of making different choices. And that's so wrong. The moment you learn something that is better for you, for example, your lifestyle, if you have a heart attack and at 40 years old, I think you should change your habits for your next 40 years old if you want to have more 40 years old to live. And I just gave you a drastic example, but the little things happen all the time, especially in our society, that the world is changing so fast, and we need the world to change. We need to start reducing plastic, for example, reducing meat, polluting the air, the ocean. There are so many things that we need to work on as a society that we can't afford adults to just say that we are adults, we don't change anymore. That's it can't happen. The world can't handle this. We can't afford this anymore. We need not only the youngest generations, the kids and the teenagers, to know that life, that we are changing throughout our whole lives, but we also need the adults to step up and say, okay, we still have 30, 40, 50 more years to live, so let's make things better. Let's choose to improve and not to stay static, not to just say, I'm too old for this, I'm too old to change. That's not true, and it shouldn't be. If you look at life like this, you don't even have a reason to live. Like, do you want to live the same year for the next 40 years, or do you want to live a different year? Because the way to do that, the way to keep your life dynamic and, keep experimenting different things, is to open yourself to the new, to learn, to grow, and to become someone new every day, every year. I do believe we should teach this in schools. We shouldn't let kids grow up thinking that there are three parts of their lives, when they are kids, when they are teenagers, and when they are adults. I think we should see life as every year is a new year, and every year we're going to continue to change and to grow until we die, since that little baby until the moment we die, we're never stop changing. And we have to start being more flexible and start embracing change, especially today when the world needs this. That's what we need as a society, that we are together, start opening our minds and opening our hearts to something new, something better. The last secret I want to share with you today is not kind of a secret, but it's something important to say, is that we are all trying our best. It's not because we are making a lot of mistakes that it doesn't mean that we are doing it on purpose. It's actually the opposite. If we are making mistakes, it's because we don't know any better. I love this Maya Angelou quote that says something like this: do your best until you know better, and then when you know better, you do better. That's the sentence that I think it would define adulthood to me. We are all trying our best to do our best to our families, to everyone around us, all the time. And even if we should be more open about this struggle, I just want to remind you all that everybody is doing their best. There's even when we make mistakes, even when we get it wrong, we are all trying to get it right, and that's the effort has to be recognized. We need to stop judging our parents. I think that was when I realized I had really grown up. I stopped judging my parents and I started putting myself in their shoes and realizing that the mistakes they made were because they didn't know better. They really they really were trying their best, but they did what they could with what they had. And that's what being an adult means. You do your best with what you have, and when you learn better, you do better. And the last thing I want to tell you today is that I see this generation that are growing up with the internet as a very special generation, because we really don't have anyone to ask things. This is something that never happened before in history, and we can't just turn to our adults and ask them questions about it, asking them what's gonna happen in the future, because we don't know. And we are open about it because no one really knows. Things are changing too fast, and we can't predict how this is gonna keep going. So my advice to you, if you are younger than me, under 30s, is don't listen to everything the adults tell you, because I see this world that they know changing in 20 years and 30 years when you are gonna be in their places, raising your own children. So you're going to be pioneers. You're growing up in a society that is still evolving. That's the magic of everything. Do you see, like, not even the world is ready, not even we can't say that the world has stopped changing. It's the opposite. The more we grow, the more we evolve, the faster these changes happen. And that's so I think that's fascinating. Seriously, I love to learn, and I love to see things evolving, and I have so much hope for the future. I know people are normally pessimist about it, but not me. I do believe in you. I do believe in this young generation and everything that I can do to help build this new society, this new world. I'm gonna do. That's why I'm telling you all these adult secrets today. So this generation, this new generation, can grow up without this imposter syndrome, and knowing that it's okay to make mistakes and to be insecure, and to change their minds, and to grow and to learn every day, because that's real life. Everybody that tells you that life is different is because they are not living. They are just existing and living the same day over and over again. Everybody that is out there really living, it's learning something. And that's adult life. That's not only teenage years, that's not only childhood. Prepare yourself to learn and to change for the rest of your life. So thank you very much for watching. I see you next week.